Hey guys, and welcome to World of Warships with Voulez-Vous. Just a quick response to all the comments from my latest video and all of your constructive criticism and mistake spotting. You basically managed to spot, I think, every single one of the most important mistakes I made in the game. So, many of the responses that I took into the account were talking about the Admiral Hipper, a tier 8 German cruiser, and also the tier 8 premium Mikhail Kutuzov cruiser, and this fits very nicely with my other plans concerning this channel, as I want to keep on continuing explaining how to play those higher tier cruisers, and to play them my way. Obviously there's other ways as well. So I figured that if I add the Atago to this now trio of tier 8 cruisers, I will be able to make a quick video on the different playstyles, and I would like to also combine it with the ranked battles season 3 right now, because this is something I think my advice would come in handy even more. So just to recap the mistakes that I've made, I'm just going to point out the most important ones. The first one would be the fact that I completely missed the torpedo squadron right above me right at the beginning of the battle, and it's only due to the lack of situational awareness, or rather skill, of the enemy carrier that I still survived, because I should have died right there and then. The other thing is the fact that I've been stationary in that spot for a bit too long, and again, I should have paid for it with my own life. The next thing that kept on coming back in your comments is the way I handled the carrier attack. That is another big thing. I've wasted way too much time trying to citadel the carrier with my AP, completely missing the most important point, which is the fact that this particular carrier has got its flight deck built on top of the actual ship proper, which basically means that the flight deck acts as a huge plate of spaced armor, and that made all of my shots completely useless. I should have stuck with the HE rounds, and I would have killed the carrier much earlier. There's also a couple of instances where I basically tunnel visioned, and I didn't notice that I had enemies much closer to me. All in all, I think you spotted the most important mistakes, and thanks for doing so. And now let's move on to the 3-ship playstyle review, which I'm just about to start right now. So this is going to be quite a long video, just a fair warning. And I'm going to cover all 3 of the ships and their playstyles in ranked battles, but I believe that the tips that I'm giving you are quite easily transferable to random battles as well. So let's start with the Atago. As you can see, I'm starting a game on the map Shatter, and the biggest problem with the Shatter is the fact that your team is divided in half, and there's this huge island cluster between you, and if you don't start working on it straight away, you will have your fleet divided, and this is a huge weakness. So as you can see, the first thing I do when starting in this map is to make sure that I will direct half of the fleet, whichever half I think suits best, towards the center of the map, so that they will meet in the middle. I figured that my group is much more mobile. We have two destroyers, so I've basically proposed to the team to sneak through that little gap there towards B and meet up with our teammates, which are just moving on to C. So the Atago is, in my opinion, at least the way I play it, a destroyer hunter. So you want to follow your destroyers. You want to be right in the middle of the action. You have a very maneuverable ship. It's got forward mounted torpedoes, and with the sonar and the fighter plane, it's an excellent DD Hunter. So that's how I use this ship. As you can see, one of our destroyers is moving in straight on B. The other one decided to volunteer to check out the A cap, and it's being engaged by the enemy Hatsuharu. I open up on the Hatsuharu, but mess up the lead, and I only get a couple of hits without much damage. So as you can see, I'm using HE right now, and HE on the Atago is very effective. You can get up to 9,000 of damage per salvo with a well-placed HE volley. So as you can see, I'm right in the center of the map right now, and this is quite dangerous DD territory, and I need to watch out. So I'm sort of swinging myself around this corner. I just used the sonar consumable to make sure that I won't get surprised with a stray torpedo spread. So I'm moving in there, and basically the incoming icon is popping up, so I'm being under fire. That must be the Atago. I'm not really afraid of the fire, but the fire damage will last as my repair is still on cooldown. Incoming icon again, the turrets this time well angled, and I managed to avoid the incoming shells. And again, incoming, that may be the Atago, or maybe somebody shooting at me from the front. Still not sure now. So the situational awareness, the map looks really good right now. We control 2 caps. We have a ship, namely me, on the B cap, making sure that it stays capped. And I figured that I will stay here for a little while, let my fleet regroup, and just make sure that this cap point belongs to us the most. That's the moment where I spot the Amagi, and the Amagi is at 9.8 kilometers away, 9.7, which means that it's an amazing target for my torpedoes. I launch those torpedoes without really dwelling too long on the actual Amagi, and I've instantly switched targets to the enemy destroyer, which is sneaking up to my left. It's only 5.3 kilometers away, and it is the Kiev. And this is where I get a huge hit from one of the enemy battleships, or maybe was it the Atago? I'm not really sure. You can see the Kiev launching its torpedoes right now. It's very instinctive. It's quite easy to spot that. So I keep moving out of the area, and I land a huge hit on the Kiev from distance. The Kiev's torpedoes are really fast, so I'm just making sure that I've got a wide enough gap between me and the incoming torpedoes. That's where 2 of my torpedoes land on the Amagi, which is really good, and I quickly make a hard turn. I want to finish off the Kiev, and that's where another torpedo of mine lands on the Amagi, which is really good. So I need to be mindful of my left side where there's the turrets. It's only 10 kilometers away, and if the turrets was paying attention, I could have died right here. I'm pretty sure that I would be able to kill an Atago from 10 kilometers on 2/3 of health. So I've opened up on the Kiev, but somebody picks it off right before my shells land, which is completely fine. I'm not here to do damage, I'm here to win games. The enemy Amagi is moving in, it's only 8 kilometers away. I'm still under fire from the turrets behind me, so I kinda have to watch out and make sure that I'm anchoring my ship appropriately. And I see that the Amagi is moving away this time, and its guns are pointed in a completely different direction. I'm completely free to open up on it and do as much damage as possible. Amagi is on fire, and I'm assuming that because of the torpedoes that the Amagi took earlier on, the repair consumable is on cooldown, and I will be able to score quite a lot of fire damage, which again is something that you shouldn't frown upon when sailing the Atago. It's an excellent ship to actually score this kind of extra damage. So the Yamag is on fire in 2 different places, and it seems that it will burn down. But because I don't really have any other targets right now, I still keep on showing it. And that's the enemy battleship gone. So as you can see, I still haven't really moved that far from the center. I'm still under fire. The incoming icon is telling me about this. But I feel that I'm relatively well angled towards the enemies behind me, and I decide to move away now that this destroyer and the turret that's right behind it is quite a significant threat. So I'm moving away from this area. I'm launching some precautionary torpedoes. I don't really count on them hitting anything, but I basically want to make the life a little bit more difficult to the ships entering the B cap. So I'm moving off, still trying to make sure that I keep on resetting the enemy team's capping efforts. I'm under fire from the Atago, which is sort of hiding behind this island, and since it was still within my range, I open up with my front guns and actually score a nice hit, and I managed to set the Atago on fire. Another Atago still firing at me. It's really late right now. We've got a huge point advantage, and even if they actually manage to cap the B cap, I'm quite confident that we will be able to win this match. So looking at the map, the Tirpitz is still moving in quite hard on us. I think he's trying to score a hit on me, so I swing my ship around and I launch my torpedoes. And the moment the torpedoes are underway, I swing back again. I don't want to present a big target towards the Tirpitz, but now I see that the Tirpitz is actually shooting somebody else, the cruiser right in front of me. So I'm a bit more confident when it comes to opening up on the Tirpitz. And I set it on fire. My torpedoes miss, but they're still managing to chase away the enemy destroyer. I score a couple more hits on the Tirpitz. We're only 30 points away from winning this game. And I'm still relatively well angled towards the Tirpitz, something that we need to be aware of when sailing an Atago. It's quite easy to kill it if you show a broadside to an enemy battleship. We're just about to win. I'm just opening up on the enemy destroyer just to score a couple more hits. And that's the game over. This game gave me the third start in my progression towards the 12th rank and the first place in the enemy team. And as you can see, I did some damage, but nothing great. I think it's just under 100,000 damage. But the most important thing is that I managed to coordinate the moves of my team, and also use the strength of the Atago as a DD hunter to control the center of the map and basically don't let the enemy destroyers take over this area. And that will be all for this particular game, and let's move on to the next one. Okay guys, moving on to the first ship that you requested in your U-Barry criticism video. That will be the Admiral Hipper. That is a tier 8 German cruiser, and this requires a little bit more explanation now. As you've already seen several of my Atago videos, you have an idea of how I sail this ship. So the Admiral Hipper is a ship that rarely uses HE rounds. It can devastate both cruisers and battleships with its AP salvos, and this is sort of the way I want to sail that ship. But again, just to start the match the exact same way as I usually do, I try to communicate and coordinate with my team. I'm too far away to get B, so I use the fact that we have 4 destroyers, and I pick 2 of the ones that are the closest to B and ask them to get the B cap for us, while I offer contesting the E, while I offer my help in contesting the A cap. So I'm keeping my guns on the right hand side. I'm expecting to turn left and face the enemies that are sort of moving between the A and the B cap, somewhere around the G6 square on the map. And I just make sure that the destroyers moving on towards A are not too eager when trying to cap. All I want from them is to help me not let the enemy team cap this point. The more important bit right now is to cap B. So I spot the enemy Pensacola, and I am making here a little bit of a mistake. I am showing my broadside, but I feel a little bit confident here. And just check out this amazing, just monster damage that the Hipper AP shells are doing on the Pensacola. Those 3 hits, that was only 1 citadel, but I did a monster amount of damage. I basically took away half of the Pensacola's health. And as I said, this is a ship which you will most likely and most often be using the armor-piercing rounds through the whole game. So I'm not spotted anymore. The friendly destroyers are doing a great job in concealing my position here with the smoke, and I feel very confident here, so I just open up on the Atago, and I'm rewarded with another 1 hit and 2 citadels, which translates into just over 11,000 damage. The Atago insists on going straight, so I'm going to punish it for it. And that's the ship dead, and this is the power of the Admiral Hipper. It's a monster when it comes to using its AP shells, and if you have a good aim and kind enough enemies to give you their broadsides, you will have an amazing game here. It definitely isn't a destroyer hunter. The Hipper is not as maneuverable, first of all, and second, it's not as fast as the Atago. I think, just on top of my head, the speed difference between those two is quite significant. And just a quick intervention here. You just check out the chat. I'm making a really silly mistake. I was trying to coordinate my team, and I basically gave away my plan to the enemy team. And yeah, well, nobody's perfect. That happens as well. So right now I'm sort of hesitant. I'm not really sure if we can still continue with this plan, or maybe we should change it. But I sort of let it go, let it develop, and I'm opening up on the Hatsuharu. And this time I'm switching to HE, seeing that might be a while before I engage any other ships. And I get a huge hit from the North Carolina. I shoot that HE salvo, but I instantly change to AP again because this is my main armament. This is the most efficient armament the Hipper has got. As you can see, the torpedoes popping up on my right side, they're really far away. I spotted them only because I'm using the sonar consumable. And again, just a normal penetrating hit on the Pensacola, and I did almost 3,000 damage, which is really good. I keep on shelling the Pensacola, just getting decent hits, and trying to position myself in a way that I'm hidden from the enemy battleships, and I'm only partially successful. I still managed to eat a huge hit from the enemy North Carolina, but managed to kill the Pensacola and That puts me on 2 kills and 5 citadels. Reload HE very quickly, and I see the Hatsuharu here. And I score a good hit or two on the Hatsuharu, and somebody else finishes it off. I compliment my team on being very well organized and efficient, and again I quickly switch to AP, seeing North Carolina moving off from behind that island. I don't use situational awareness on the ship, so that's why the spotted icon does not show up. I only use the incoming fire perk, as I use this ship as a long-range sniper and usually have got enough time to do evasive maneuvers should anyone be shooting at me. The 12 kilometers that are between me and the North Carolina are definitely not enough, and if I saw that the Carolina was actually gunning at me, I would most definitely point my back towards it and get some space between us, as this is a very dangerous situation for me. But as you can see, my team is completely dominating the game, and the Carolina was engaging another ship to my right, so I had free reign and I could have dealt even more damage. As you notice, the AP usage in this game gave me 58,000 of registered damage. It might still be a couple of more thousand, and waiting for me to be seen in the post-game stats. And I'm just maneuvering to put myself in a favorable position. I see that North Carolina is most likely going to start going east, so I turn around quickly and prepare my guns using the control X, and I'm just waiting to get in range and get a chance to shoot. But that's where the battle finishes, and this is literally the third game after the Atago game I showcased, and that gives me the second star in my progression towards the 11th rank. Moving on to the results, 2 kills and 5 citadels. Middle spot on the team list, but that's not important. The important bit is that we won. And no other extra damage, only 56,000 of AP damage and just 2,500 of the HE on that enemy destroyer right at the end of the battle. So, just a quick recap: if you want to be sailing the Admiral Hipper, I recommend using the AP rounds almost exclusively. Keep your distance to your enemies. Your range allows you to shell the enemies from distance, and really don't be afraid to use AP on both battleships and cruisers, and try to spot opportunities where you can score some devastating citadel hits on the enemy cruisers. As you saw in this particular replay, going in a straight line is never a good idea if you're sailing a cruiser, and especially if you've got me on the enemy team. Okay, so moving on to the next and the final replay for this video, let's move on to the Russian Tier 8 cruiser, the Mikhail Kutuzov.
General quarters.
Okay, guys, so that's the last replay right now, and this is on the Land of Fire map. It's a ranked battle, and I'm sailing in the Mikhail Kutuzov. Now, the Kutuzov is a very special ship. The fact that it's using a smokescreen as a cruiser is quite unique. The only other cruiser in the game that has got this ability is the Kitakami, which is really hard to get your hands on these days. So we're about 20 seconds away from the start of the battle, and again I'm thinking how to make sure that we win this. And looking at the team list, I figured that we don't have the same advantage when it comes to destroyers, and I feel that we will need a little bit more open space to survive this. So I suggest to the team that the A-cap should be our priority, because this will allow our battleships to have a bit more room to maneuver, and also the fact that this game actually features 2 carriers, one on each side, means that that extra space will allow our ships to be a bit more defiant when it comes to the attacks of the enemy carrier. Right, so as I've already done one video on the Kutuzov, you have an idea of what I expect from this ship. The last time I was sailing it, I still had the most basic range. Now I managed to switch my captain pegs around, and I'm boasting the 19.1 kilometer range, which might actually come in handy in this particular game. So the way I want to use this ship is basically to use it as a troll. It's an excellent DD hunter because of the fast firing guns, and it's also a very good battleship troll because of the range and the fact that it can create its own protection by using the smokescreen. The first tip that I want to give you about sailing the Kutuzov and actually using this smoke to your advantage is that you have to remember that this is not a destroyer, and it takes a really long time for this ship to slow down. So you want to be slowing down first and only then starting the smoke screen, or you want to build that smoke screen much in advance before any of the enemy ships are actually going to get into the spotting range. So this will allow you to get yourself into position, be mindful of possible incoming torpedoes, because if the enemies will see a smoke screen, they might be tempted to launch torpedoes in its general direction. So keep that in mind and point your ship towards the expected direction of enemy incoming fire. And yeah, just use it to its advantage. So as you can see, so far we haven't really spotted that many enemy ships. There is an enemy destroyer quite close, and I've got incoming fire icon popping up, which means that I'm under fire, but at this distance I don't really fear it all that much. And as you can see, I've already dropped my speed and slowing down big time, and the moment I spot the enemy carrier, I use smoke, and I figured that this is a perfect opportunity to actually kill this carrier, as long as somebody is going to keep on spotting it for me. So I'm shelling it from 14.2 kilometers, and my first salvos are already spot on, and I'm hiding in this smoke. As you can see, completely not spotted. Nobody is shooting at me, and I got free reign in attacking the enemy carrier. The carrier makes a huge mistake. He is trying to hide, I guess, behind that island, but it's not enough. And just check out the AP salvos and just see how much damage they actually do. The first one did nearly 10,000 damage. This one's 6,000. And that's without scoring a single citadel. The carrier eats a torpedo and is being finished off by one of my salvos. So I used the remaining AP salvo on the enemy destroyer, scoring only overpants 660 damage, which obviously is not even close to the damage the Kutuzov can deal to enemy destroyers. And now that I'm safe and the A-cap is ours, I'm moving out of the smoke again. And I finish off the enemy destroyer. So that's 2 ships down on the enemy team, and our team is still intact. And again, I'm trying to figure out how to be a contribution towards my team. You can see that I'm not using the AA suppressive fire consumable, and the Kutuzov is an excellent anti-aircraft ship. And should you wish to be sailing it in that capacity, you have much success as well protecting your battleships. But even without the AA consumable, you can deal a lot of damage to the enemy squadrons. So just keep that in mind. You are quite deadly to them. I loaded AP straight away the moment I noticed that Pensacola, but it managed to slow down and avoid most of my fire, but the second volley doesn't really give it that much luck, and I scored 2 citadels and a couple other hits, taking away quite a significant chunk of its damage pool. The other citadel, just 4,500, and the Pensacola disappears. So I'm thinking now I've got a battleship right ahead of me, which I can't really see and I can't really aim for that well. There's a Pensacola slightly to this left, and there's also an Admiral Hipper moving in right on the B-cap. And the Hipper is a very curious ship when it comes to its armor. It's actually quite resilient when it comes to surviving AP attacks from other cruisers. So here I am actually quite frankly hesitating whether or not I should be switching to HE, because this might actually yield better results. But since most of the enemy ships are within my range and I see my fleet is close enough to actually spot them for me, I pop smoke again and slow down, and I hide basically in smoke and use this ship the exact same way I would be using a gunboat, a destroyer. So I hide in smoke and use offensive smoke to rain fire on my enemies. I'm using the fact that I've actually got the extra range, and I'm trying to find my range while engaging the Hipper, and this salvo finally hits home, but no results. I don't get a single result from this volley, which is a big surprise for me. So I decided to switch targets. I'm using HE this time on the turrets. And since both the enemy ships in that direction are so far away from me, I might decide that it's time to move in a little bit more. We have a huge advantage again, and it seems that the battle is most likely won by us. I do a little bit of blind firing on the turrets, trying to figure out its position by looking at the map and its direction it's taking. And I actually managed to score not only a hit, but set the turrets on fire, which is quite a result for shooting at a ship that I haven't even seen. And I'm scoring some more hits on the turrets, and somebody else picks it off. 3 enemy ships left, and I'm trying to avoid the friendly Mogami. I don't want to create collision, so I do a little bit of evasive maneuvers, and we managed to pass each other without scraping the paint off. So my whole fleet is moving on to B. I'm already out of my smoke consumables, so now I'm just back to the old-fashioned cruiser mode, and I'm quite far away from the enemies, and I decided to take the North Carolina on my aim. I use HE to set it on fire and deal as much damage as possible, while the North Carolina is busy avoiding torpedoes from our friendly Fubuki. That's the Carolina on fire right now. The Carolina's guns are pointing in a completely different direction, which is really good for me. It means that I've got free reign in shelling the enemy battleship, and me and the other cruiser are successfully capping the B-cap. And this basically is the enemy's fate sealed. There is literally no way they will be able to recover from this. So now it's just a matter of waiting it out, dealing as much damage as possible, and making sure that my teammates are being protected. So I concentrate on the Carolina still, and 10 kilometers away. I'm considering launching my torpedoes. As you can see, If the Carolina was on full speed, even though the range of the torpedoes is 8 kilometers, I am quite confident that it would manage to actually run into them. And I keep on shelling the Carolina. It's still concentrating on another ship to the west. The Carolina just repaired now, and I set it on fire again. And this is basically the Carolina's fate sealed. There is no way this battleship will survive it. Basically, there is no way the Carolina has got enough health to survive all those fires. Not to mention the friendly Mogami moving in, getting really close to the Carolina right now. And that's the Mogami's torpedoes moving in at the Carolina right now. And that's the battleship dead. Last ship on the enemy team is the destroyer, who decides to play a little bit of a cat and mouse game with us, which is fine. It's his right, and I wouldn't give up myself either. I would try to deal as much damage as possible, even if the game is lost. So we're all moving in, and that's where the timer runs out. So just a quick look at the post-game stats. This game moved me up to rank 10, and as you can see, the first league ranked battles flag given. But since I am flying the Jolly Roger, I'm just gonna stay with that one. The Kutuzov is a premium ship, and this game gave me quite a lot of money, just under 600,000 and 8,500 of experience. 3 citadels, 2 kills, and 161 shots landed on target. That also gave me the first place on my team with 2,258 base experience, which is pretty decent. Most of it because I managed to cap both of the caps. And I managed to deal quite a lot of damage in this game as well. It looks like it is well over 95,000 of damage. But again, this is not the most important part in ranked battles. It's the winning that matters. Right guys, so we're coming close to the end of this really long video. I hope that you actually managed to last with me, and I actually managed to give you an insight into how I sail different cruises within the ranked battles. The Atago. The Atago is a head-on attacker. The Atago is a DD hunter, and it's devastating if you manage to land a well-aimed AP salvo on an enemy cruiser that's showing you a broadside. You can quite easily take off 25,000 health points with just one salvo, so keep that in mind. The Atago's torpedoes are both defensive and offensive. The 10-kilometer range and a decent speed is something that allows you to do this, and the fact that you've actually got 2 launchers on each side allow you to be a bit more flexible and a bit more creative when launching your torpedoes, and the fact that within 20 seconds, should the situation allow so, you are able to launch 16 torpedoes in one direction by simply swinging your ship around. This is really good. The armor of the Atago is okay-ish, but nothing impressive, and you really need to be aware of this fact, and you really need to be able to angle your ship. You saw in the Hipper clip just how easy it is to kill an Atago with a well-aimed AP volley if the Atago decides to go in a straight line. Now, the concealment is the biggest strength of the Atago cruisers, and it is in fact 10.7 kilometers on my ship. It can be taken lower to about 9.5 should you have the 5th captain's perk, concealment perk, but I still don't have it on the captain. Okay, let's move on to the Admiral Hipper. The German cruiser is a long-distance sniper, and in my eyes it is excelling in hunting cruisers and battleships. I would leave hunting destroyers to other ships which are much more apt in doing so. The 6-kilometer range on the Hipper's torpedoes make him very situational, and I would say that I would describe them as a defensive weapon. and you really shouldn't be that close to your enemies. If you are that close, then I think you're doing it wrong, and you really want to keep your distance, because that's where the Hipper's strengths come in. The two strengths that I have in mind is the really good range and the monster amount of base damage the AP shells can do. Also the fact that it is quite a bouncy ship. It is rather hard to score citadel hits on the Hipper if it's just slightly angled, should you be sailing another cruiser. The concealment on the Hipper is 12.4 kilometers, and this is something you really need to keep in mind, because if you want to play the Hipper the way I do, you need to be aware of the fact that should you stop firing, it will only take about 20 seconds and you will disappear from the map, as long as you keep your distance. 12.4 kilometers is the distance you need to keep to be able to disengage, disappear, relocate, and engage again. Moving on to the Kutuzov. The Kutuzov is sort of a middle way between the Atago and the Hipper, in the sense that it is an excellent destroyer hunter. You can quite easily land multiple citadels on cruisers, but with the offensive smoke screen that you can use, it is also an amazing battleship troll, especially if you have the extra range, which will allow you to troll those battleships for an even longer time. You basically move in, slow down, drop the smoke, and start picking targets and setting them on fire and killing them, just basically trolling them as much as possible. The biggest weakness of the Kutuzov between those three ships is the fact that it is made of paper. It's got the least amount of armor, and I really cannot count the number of times I got decimated to a sliver of health right at the beginning of the map, of the battle, simply because I shot my broadside to a battleship and they scored multiple citadel hits. And yeah, you really need to watch out. This is something that you really need to keep in mind, because it is a very fragile ship, it's very easy to kill, and you do not want to become the focus of the enemy team. The concealment on the Kutuzov, the way I've got it set up right now, is 13 kilometers, which is pretty bad, and it is the worst concealment of all the three cruisers that I just talked about. And you have to keep this in mind, because this, combined with the fact that it's an easy ship to kill with its lack of armor, you really have to be aware of your surroundings, and also you really need to be good at using evasive maneuvers to avoid incoming fire. As you could see in the replay I just showed you, the fact that I knew that I had salvos incoming prompted me to do evasive maneuvers more often and in the right moments, and that saved me from receiving way too much damage. I've only touched on my way of thinking when sailing those three very different ships, but I hope that you managed to be not only entertained but also educated, and if you did, please rate the video down below. It definitely helps the channel out to grow and keeps me motivated to come up with new content. And also I encourage you to hit the subscribe button at the top there. I've got much more new cool materials coming in. They're all supposed to teach you something about either ranked battles or the secrets of sailing a particular ship. And I would also like to thank again to all of you guys who took the time to watch my U-Buddy replay and point out all the mistakes I did. This is all very valuable stuff, and I appreciate the fact that you took your time to actually do that for me, and you know, play along with my request. So for now, all I want to say is thanks a lot for watching, and that you actually managed to survive till the end of this a really long video, and I catch you on the open seas.